Well, November is Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and it makes for a perfect time for me to have my next guest with me on the Miller Lite Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline, who is the president and CEO of Alzheimer's New Jersey. We're going to talk about a couple things going on, including a very well-known public person who came public with the diagnosis not too long ago. And we'll discuss that as well. But great to have Ken Zaentz back with us this morning on WCTC. Hey, Ken, good morning. It's Bert Barron. How you doing?
Hey, Bert. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for having me on.
Good. Sure. Always welcome here, Ken. Before we talk about some things that are going on, a quick recap, if we would, for the Alzheimer's walks that were in various parts of the state and just wrapped up recently. I was so honored to be a part of the Princeton walk, the Central New Jersey one, and I know you did a bunch of walks throughout the state. Very successful by your estimation, and talk about how the walks went this year.
Yeah, they went really well, and we were honored to have you join us again this year too, Bert. And we even kept you dry this year. No rain on that day.
That's right. But I was really honored to be a part of that, Ken. I know that the Paramus one had a pretty big turnout also, right?
It did. That was our last one last Sunday. We had a really nice turnout, and unfortunately the weather wasn't great, but we were a little bit we did a little innovation, and we're inside and at least under cover, but people came out anyway. The damp conditions never dampens the enthusiasm and just the inspiration that those walks generate for people really wanting to make a difference for those who have Alzheimer's disease and their families in New Jersey.
Yep, looking forward to 2019, and it was a great round of walks this year, so really congratulations to everybody that put so much work in, including yourself, who makes those walks as so successful, and I'm looking forward to next year. Not long ago, Sandra Day OConnor coming public with a dementia diagnosis, and we hear about this on occasion sometimes, Ken, from famous people and whatnot. What can she and her family expect in the months to years to come? Because this is not an easy thing for any family to deal with.
No, it's not, and of course, clearly, we don't know, I don't know exactly, where she is in terms of the stages, and the progression of the disease, because it's different for everyone. But I think that whenever a public figure is willing to step forward and make that kind of announcement and be very forthright about, having the disease, it helps tremendously, because it brings to light the tremendous impact and the fact that no matter who you are, this disease affects everyone. And, Sandra Day OConnor is an example of the thousands and thousands of families, individuals and families in New Jersey who are maybe not as public, not only as a public figure, but not as public in terms of coming out and talking about the impact, but the impact is the same regardless.
Yeah, and I guess kind of a parallel example, if you will, I think about what Michael J. Fox has meant to Parkinson's, and it was decades ago, I believe, where he publicly talked about his Parkinson's to the point that he even gave up his medication for a while so people could see the effects that it had on him. And he's been a tremendous spokesman for that cause that kind of keeps it top of mind and kind of keeps people in the conversation and raises awareness and gets kind of people working towards cures and treatments and whatnot. And to have her come forward like this, you're right, as bad as I feel and as awful as I feel, because you and I have both seen people, unfortunately, deal with this, at least it gets it in the conversation again, Ken. It gets people nationally and statewide, at least a little bit more awareness, and gets people talking about it a little bit more.
Absolutely. It certainly does.
Yeah. Coming up, is there something going on in Union County College, Ken, that you want to talk about today?
Sure. Well, tomorrow, Saturday morning, is our Union County Caregiver Conference, which we do in partnership with the Union County Office on Aging and Union County College. It's a great opportunity for caregivers to learn a little bit more about the disease. We're really trying to focus the event tomorrow on caregivers taking care of themselves. So there'll be information about the disease, but they'll from the medical standpoint, what's new, but also we're going to talk a little bit about caregiver stress and some of the things that caregivers need to watch out for in terms of their own health. So it's registration starts at 8:30, and you can go on our website, alznj.org, and still register today. And of course, we can also take registrations tomorrow morning, but always better if you do it ahead of time. So that's a really important event for us, and it's a great partnership that we've had for many years with the Office on Aging in the county in Union.
Yeah, many thanks to them for that. And it's an important thing, too, Ken, because sometimes you get so tied up in making someone else comfortable, and you dedicate your life to working with someone and being a caregiver for someone that sometimes you forget about your own well-being, your own family, and your own life, and the state of mind that you're in. And it becomes very easy to kind of sort of lose yourself and lose your own sort of well-being and feel like your place in this world is kind of completely different. But this is going to remind people that, you know what, you have a life and you matter too, and you need to be able to balance both and do this the right way.
Right, and that is by no means an easy thing. And,
no.
So many family caregivers, it's all about, as it should be, the person, the loved one with the disease that they're caring for, but this disease takes its toll, and if you're not healthy as the caregiver, then you're not going to be an effective caregiver. And quite frankly, if something happens to you, then what happens to the person that you're caring for? So, taking care of yourself, getting some respite, and that's where a program like our caregivers respite care program, our respite care and wellness program, is just so valuable, because we try to educate caregivers about the value, not only the value, but the importance of taking care of themselves.
Yeah, so get to that website and sign up for this tomorrow. This is very informative stuff, alznj.org, and register if you haven't done so, or you can do so in person also. And it's kind of like, Ken, I like to use the analogy of, they say that if you're on board an airplane and you have to put the oxygen mask on, if you're traveling with somebody, what's the first thing they tell you? Put your mask on first, right? Take care of yourself first, and that allows you to help people around you.
Absolutely.
This is exactly how it is done. So real important stuff. And just to kind of remind people, Ken, this is an old state. People are living longer. Jersey, we've got almost 16% of our population is people 65 years or older. And, say what you want about the elderly population and senior citizens. It's a big part of our population of our state, and people are just living longer, and we get more and more people that turn 65 every day. So having some awareness and a recognition of what Alzheimer's is all about, it goes a long way. I mean, don't just think it can't happen to you, because we still at that 50% number, Ken, where you either have a diagnosis or you're treating someone who has, right?
Well, over the age of 85, that's the statistic. If we talk about people over the age of 65, it's about 10%, but still, that's a huge number. The estimate is about 180,000 people in New Jersey who have Alzheimer's disease, and we know that's a conservative number, because people don't get diagnosed, yet they still have the disease, and so it's a big number, but we know it's a pretty conservative number. And you're right about the aging population. There's a statistic that says now that every day 10,000 baby boomers celebrate their 65th birthday. So that's not a New Jersey number, but think about what that means in a state where, as you said, almost 16% of our population is over the age of 65. So it's unfortunately having a huge impact. Yeah,
and it's a concern. It really is. But great groups like you, Ken, and your people and everything that's being done here in New Jersey, I give you guys all the credit in the world. It's just remarkable work that you're doing. You want to give out the helpline number, Ken, if someone needs to give a call to the toll-free number?
Sure. So if people want to call our helpline, it's 888-280-6055.
And don't hesitate. You know what? Call that number, even if it's you talk to somebody and it might not get some sort of resolution, but call anyway. There's no harm in calling, right, Ken?
No, and sometimes people call. They want to talk about a strategy. They want to understand something a little bit better. They want to get some access to maybe some community resources, or they just want to validate something that they're doing or a thought that they had. So. Yeah. It's we provide. It's definitely the gateway to our organization, so that don't hesitate. People should definitely not hesitate to call.
Yep, no question about it. Ken Zaentz, President, CEO, Alzheimer's New Jersey. Thank you for the time this morning, Ken. And with November being Alzheimer's Awareness Month, I'm sure we're going to be doing some more things throughout the course of the month on this very important topic. But thank you for the time today, and we'll talk again soon, all right?
Great. Thank you, Bert. As always, thanks for having me on.